Tonight, when you turn off your own lights, pay attention. If you hear breathing in the dark, if you feel cold fingers brushing against your skin, don't move, don't look, and whatever you do, don't sleep with the lights off, because that's what Emily Parker did, and it destroyed her. Emily was 29, a night shift nurse at the hospital on the edge of town. Her life was routine, exhausting, and lonely. She spent most nights under the harsh fluorescent lights of patient rooms, listening to monitors beep and the shuffle of wheelchairs on tile floors. By the time she got home, she craved silence. Darkness felt like relief to her, like shutting the door on the world. She had a habit. As soon as she stepped through her apartment door, she would flick off every single light, crawl into bed, and let the blackness swallow her. At first, it was comforting until the dreams began. They weren't ordinary dreams. At first, Emily found herself in long corridors, endless hospital hallways that looked just like the ones she worked in, but they stretched on forever, dimly lit by buzzing exit signs. In the distance, she always heard footsteps, bare feet slapping softly against tile, following her at a steady pace. When she turned around, no one was there. She would wake up drenched in sweat, the sound of those steps still echoing in her ears. Over time, the dreams grew worse. She dreamed of lying in her own bed, in her own apartment, but she wasn't alone. Something crouched at the foot of the mattress, its head cocked at an unnatural angle, watching her breathe. Sometimes it whispered her name in a low rasp, so close she could feel the vibration in her ear. When she jolted awake, her room was always silent, but the air felt damp, heavy, as if the atmosphere itself had changed. And each time, she smelled it, that faint mildew smell, like wet earth in a basement. Even though she kept her apartment spotless, Emily tried to laugh it off with co-workers during late-night coffee breaks. "I'm just overtired," she'd say, forcing a smile. "My brain's playing tricks." But the unease clung to her. Then came the noises. Every night, always around 3 o'clock in the morning, she heard slow, deliberate footsteps crossing her bedroom floor. She lived alone, no pets, no roommates, and yet, when she lay perfectly still, heart pounding, she could hear the soft creak of boards, one step after another, moving closer to her bed. The most terrifying part wasn't the sound itself. It was that the noises only came when the lights were off. One evening, she stopped at the corner store after work. The old cashier, Mr. Hernandez, had seen her often, dragging herself in for snacks or instant coffee after her shifts. That night, he looked at her pale face and bloodshot eyes and said quietly, "You live in the Crestview Apartments, don't you?" When she nodded, he leaned forward over the counter and lowered his voice. "Keep your lights on at night. I'm serious. People who don't last long there." Emily laughed awkwardly, waiting for him to chuckle, to admit it was some old man's joke, but he didn't smile. His expression was heavy with something like grief. "My brother lived in that building," he whispered. "They found him dead in his bed, eyes wide open, like he saw something sitting on his chest when he died." Emily tried to brush it off, but his words followed her home like a shadow. That night, she left her bedside lamp on. For the first time in weeks, she slept peacefully. No footsteps, no whispers, no damp air, just sleep. The following night, curiosity got the better of her. She thought maybe her mind was just tricking her, so she turned the lamp off again. She lay in darkness, listening. Minutes stretched by. Nothing happened. She almost laughed at herself until she felt the warm puff of air against her ear. A voice, rasping and guttural, whispered, "I've been waiting." She shot upright and fumbled for her lamp. When the bulb flickered on, the room was empty, but she couldn't shake the feeling she had not been dreaming. From then on, Emily grew obsessed. She scoured the internet, digging through archives, old news clippings, and forums about Crestview Apartments. What she found hollowed her out. In the 1970s, 3 tenants on her street had died mysteriously in their sleep. All were found in bed, eyes wide open,
mouths frozen mid-scream. In every police report, the same bizarre detail appeared. The bulbs in their lamps had been unscrewed, even though family members swore they always slept with the light on. One photo in particular made her stomach drop. The picture showed a victim's bed, the body missing, but the mattress still dented deeply, as though the person had just sunk into it and never come back. Emily slammed her laptop shut and told herself it was coincidence, superstition, just story. But deep down, she knew something was in the dark, waiting for her.
October 13th brought the storm. Rain battered the city, wind howling like screams outside her window. Lightning cracked open the sky. Emily crawled into bed, her lamp glowing beside her. She thought maybe she'd be safe. But at 2:58 a.m., the lamp flickered once, twice, and then the power went out. Her apartment plunged into blackness. Her breath caught in her throat as the familiar sound returned. Slow, deliberate footsteps crossing her floor, closer, closer, until they stopped right beside her bed. She reached for her phone, but the screen stayed black, dead battery. Panic clawed at her chest. The weight came next, something cold and impossibly heavy pressing down on her, pinning her to the mattress. She gasped, struggling, but the pressure grew stronger. Then lightning split the sky, illuminating her room for a fraction of a second, and she saw it. A figure crouched above her, inches from her face. Its skin was stretched thin and pale like wax, its eyes hollow pits, its mouth torn into a grin too wide for any human face. Its bony fingers curled around her throat. She tried to scream, but no sound came. The storm roared outside, but inside the room the only thing she heard was the thing's whisper against her ear, "Lights out." Neighbors later told police they heard screaming that night, but by the time the landlord forced open her door, Emily's bed was empty, sheets torn, pillows shredded, and in the center of the mattress, a deep indentation, as though her body was still lying there. Her lamp lay shattered on the floor. The room smelled faintly of mildew and damp earth, though the rest of her apartment was clean. The landlord insisted she must have moved out in the night, but no one explained how or why or what happened to her. Mr. Hernandez, the cashier, shook his head when he heard the news. "She turned the lights off," he muttered. "That's how it gets you. That's how it always gets you." So remember Emily Parker tonight when you turn off your own lights. If you hear the whisper, if you feel the weight pressing down on your chest, if you see the shadow crouched at the foot of your bed, don't move, don't look, and whatever you do, don't sleep with the lights off.